This land breathes despair. They call it Nightreign, where the air is thick with sorrow. I stand at the edge, twisted trees clawing at the sky like skeletal fingers. The path ahead, a scar carved into the earth. My journey begins with a vow, just the steel in my hand. Some paths must be walked alone, a pilgrimage into the heart of fear. The silence is broken by the shriek of something inhuman. I feel the eyes on me, their hunger, a palpable force. And so I take the first step. I'm just a man who has chosen to face the abyss with his own resolve, a promise of the trials to come. Why this path? Why this madness? The question echoes in the hollows of my mind, a constant companion to the chill that seeps into my bones. To face this cursed realm without protection is to court oblivion. Others have come before me, clad in shining steel, bearing shields blessed by priests and swords humming with ancient power. Their bones now litter these forgotten lands, a testament to Nightrein's cruelty. They were knights and champions, legends in their own right, and they all fell. What hope have I then? A man with nothing but a sword and the scars that map a lifetime of struggle across his flesh. The vow was simple, spoken into the quiet of a cold dawn. I will walk the path of the Unforged. I will face the darkness not as a warrior clad for battle, but as a man laid bare. My skin will be my only shield, my will my only armor. It is a rejection of the idea that strength comes from what we wear or what we carry. True strength, I believe, is forged within. It is the fire that burns in the soul when the body is cold and broken. It is the grit that keeps you standing when every instinct screams for you to run. This journey is my forge, and the horrors of Nightreign are the hammer. Some would call it pride, others a death wish. Perhaps it is a little of both. I have seen what power does to men. I have seen how the finest armor can hide the most hollow of hearts. I have seen how the mightiest weapons can be wielded by the weakest of wills. I seek something different, a purity of purpose. To know that if I survive, it will be because of the strength in my arm, the quickness of my mind, and the sheer stubborn refusal of my spirit to be extinguished. It is an arrogant notion, a defiance hurled into the face of a world that rewards only overwhelming force. This is not a quest for glory. There are no crowds to witness this trial, no bards to sing of my deeds if I succeed. The only audience is the land itself and the monsters that call it home. They do not care for honor or vows. They understand only hunger and violence. My purpose is my own. It is a quiet internal war against the doubt that gnaws at the edges of my resolve. To prove, if only to myself, that the human spirit can endure the impossible, that even in the deepest darkness a single unarmored man can stand his ground and not be broken. My only companion is this piece of steel. It is not a legendary blade, not a sword with a name and a history. It is a simple, functional tool of death. The grip is worn smooth by my hand. Its edge is sharp, honed by my own whetstone. There is no magic woven into its metal, no destiny it is meant to fulfill. Its story began the day I picked it up, and it will end with me. In this land of overwhelming dread, its familiar weight is a small comfort. It is an extension of my will, the only answer I can give to the horrors that await me in the gloom. It feels heavier now, without the balance of a shield or the safety of a cuirass. Every fight will be a dance on a razor's edge. Without armor, any blow could be the last. A glancing strike from a claw that would have been turned by leather or chain will now tear flesh to the bone. A clumsy parry will mean a shattered arm or a punctured lung. There is no margin for error. Every movement must be precise, efficient. Every dodge, every counter, every swing of my sword must be perfect. I must become a student of my enemies, learning their rhythms, their tells, their moments of vulnerability. I cannot afford to trade blows or withstand an assault. I must be the ghost they never see coming. This challenge forces a different kind of thinking. It is not about brute force. It is about intimacy with death. It is about understanding that I am fragile, mortal, and hopelessly outmatched. That understanding is not a weakness. It is my greatest weapon. It sharpens the senses. The snap of a twig, the change in the air, the faintest sound of movement, these are the signals that will keep me alive. I must rely on stealth and cunning as much as the strength of my arm. The shadows are my allies, the silence my cloak. To survive is to become a part of the oppressive darkness, to move within it like a predator. And so the stage is set. The terms of this cruel game are clear. One man, one sword, a land that wants him dead. The path forward leads into deeper shadow toward the heart of the curse. The air grows colder, the sense of being watched more intense. The first true test cannot be far now. I take a deep breath. The the cold air burning my lungs. I feel the fear, a cold knot in my stomach, but beneath it the fire of my vow burns hot. I will not falter. I will not yield. I will walk into the heart of Nightreign, and I will face whatever waits for me there, unforged, unbroken. The path dissolves into a treacherous trail of mud and jagged rock. The trees are monuments to agony, their branches twisted into shapes of torment. A grey mist clings to the ground, swallowing sound and sight. This is the true beginning, Nightreign's maw. I am utterly exposed. Then I see it, a flicker of movement in the mist ahead. It is hunched and low to the ground, a wretched thing that was once human. It has not seen me yet. I draw my sword. The creature's head snaps up, its eyes glowing. I charge into the mist. The game has begun. The first kill is a grim, messy affair. The creature moves with unpredictable speed. I feel the wind. I pivot. My blade bites deep. It shrieks. Its blood spatters across my bare arms. I finish it quickly. I stand over the corpse, my breath ragged. Every fight will be this desperate. Every enemy poses a mortal threat. Ahead, the path leads toward the skeletal remains of a small village. This is a place of ghosts. The whispers on the wind seem stronger here. It is a place to be wary of. I move through the desolate streets, my senses stretched to their absolute limit. This is what it means to be unarmored. Deeper in the ruins, the skittering sounds of something alive echo. A pack of starved, hound-like creatures emerges. A direct confrontation means certain death. Stealth is my only option. The ruins' a maze become our hunting ground. One breaks from the pack, drawn near. It senses something amiss. I cannot wait. I explode from the darkness, my blade finding its mark. It collapses silently. I drag the body into shadow. The line between predator and prey blurs. One by one, I dismantle the pack, a deadly dance of survival. The last of the pack proves to be the most cunning. Then it charges directly at my last known position. I have no choice but to meet it head-on. The time for stealth is over. The clash is immediate and violent. The creature is a whirlwind of claws and fangs. I feel a searing pain as one of its claws rakes across my left forearm. Blood wells instantly, hot and slick, running down my arm and dripping from my fingertips. I feel the blade sink deep into its side. It collapses into a heap, twitching for a moment before falling still. It is a crude fix, but it will have to do. The first scar of Nightreign. I know it will not be the last, and I have a long, long way to go. Leaving the ruins, I descend into a sprawling, treacherous marsh, a sunken fen heavy with the stench of decay. This place is actively rotting, a festering wound. I must keep moving, sinking with every step. Something moves in the water. A long serpentine shape gliding just beneath the murky surface. I freeze, hand on my sword. The shape is massive, hidden by the black water and mist. It is simply moving through its domain. I do not challenge it. I am a statue amidst the decay. The great serpent passes, disappearing into the mists. The fen is not empty. The silence is a lie, a thin veil over a world teeming with hungry life. As I wade through a particularly dense patch of reeds, I hear them. A series of wet, guttural clicks, followed by the splash of something heavy moving through the water. I crouch low, peering through the swaying stalks. They are amphibious things with wide, frog-like heads and eyes that bulge from their skulls like polished black stones. Their bodies are a sickly green, mottled with brown, and they walk on two powerful legs, their webbed hands tipped with long, needle-sharp claws. They move with a purpose that chills me to the bone. They are hunting. There are 3 of them, moving in a loose formation, their heads swiveling as they scan the mists. They are clearly at home here, their movements swift and sure in the treacherous bog. Unlike the creatures in the ruins, they do not rely on stealth. They are the apex predators of this swamp. I am an intruder on their hunting grounds, and my scent on the air has surely drawn their attention. I cannot outrun them in this terrain. My only hope is to turn the tables, to become the hunter before I become the hunted. I wait for my moment, my patience a weapon honed by desperation. One of the creatures wades closer to my position, its head tilted as it sniffs the air. It is separated from its companions by a thicket of gnarled roots and a deep pool of water. This is my chance. I rise from the reeds like a spectre, the water sluicing from my body. Before the creature can even register my presence, I am upon it. My sword drives down into the soft spot where its neck meets its skull. There is a wet crunch and the creature goes limp, its body sinking beneath the black water with barely a ripple. The other two creatures stop. They click to one another, a questioning, confused sound. Their companion has vanished without a trace, without a cry. They begin to move more cautiously now. They split up, each moving to circle the area where their packmate was last seen. By taking one of them out, I have broken their unity and introduced fear into the equation. The hunt has changed. Now I must deal with the second one before they can regroup and overwhelm me with their numbers. The remaining hunters communicate, trying to pinpoint my location in the mist. I'm forced to keep moving, the cold water irritating the gash on my arm. I need to force a confrontation. I find a narrow crossing over a slick, moss-covered route, a perfect place for an ambush. I climb onto the thick root and wait. I make a deliberate splash in the water below. One of them has taken the bait. The creature emerges from the mist. I drop from the root into the water. I surge up from the water. My sword finds its mark. It screams and topples into the deep channel. One remains. Its enraged roar echoes across the fen. The final confrontation will be a straight battle. The final hunter crashes through the reeds, its rage a force of nature, ignoring caution to avenge its fallen kin. I plant my feet in the sucking mud and prepare for the onslaught. The creature leaps, jaws snapping. I throw myself sideways, feeling a claw tear my tunic. Pain steals my breath. This one is stronger, its skin thicker. I have to find a weak point. The creature circles, studying me. I leap backward, using the slight elevation to my advantage. I bring my sword down, aiming for its skull. The blow connects, stunning the creature. I leap onto its back, a reckless move. I cling to its back and drive my sword into its neck. It crashes through the water, slamming me against a tree trunk. The creature collapses into the bog, its life gurgling away. I slide off its corpse and fall to my knees, utterly spent. The silence of the fen rushes back. I remain kneeling for a long time, the foul water of the swamp lapping at my chest. My breath comes in ragged, shallow gasps. Every muscle in my body aches with a profound, bone-deep weariness. The two new wounds, the gash on my forearm and the deep scratch across my ribs, burn with a cold fire. They are trophies of this brutal encounter, grim marks of the toll this journey is taking. I look at my reflection in the dark water. The face that stares back is pale and drawn, smeared with mud and the creature's black blood. My eyes are wide, haunted by the closeness of death. This is the price of my vow, paid in flesh and spirit. Slowly, painfully, I force myself to my feet. I have to get out of this water. Infection is as great an enemy as any monster, and to linger here is to invite it in. I stagger towards what looks like solid ground, a small muddy island rising from the bog. Each step is an effort of will. My body screams for rest, for an end to this relentless punishment, but my mind refuses to yield. To stop now would be to dishonor the vow, to make all this suffering meaningless. I pull myself from the water and collapse onto the damp earth, the world spinning around me. The mist seems to press down, heavy and suffocating. I examine my wounds in the dim, grey light. They're not clean cuts. They're jagged, angry tears in my skin, oozing blood that mixes with the filth of the swamp. I have nothing to clean them with, no salves or potions to aid their healing. I can only bind them with more strips of cloth torn from my ruined tunic, a flimsy barrier against the pervasive damp and decay. I know that these wounds will slow me down. They'll ache with every movement, a constant nagging drain on my focus and my strength. This is the reality of being unarmored. There are no minor injuries. Every blow leaves its mark, a debt that the body must pay. As I sit there tending to my injuries, a new feeling begins to creep in, colder and more insidious than the fen's chill. It's the first flicker of true doubt. I have survived, yes, but at what cost? I am wounded, exhausted, and still so far from my goal. The horrors I have faced so far are surely just the beginning, the outer guards of this cursed kingdom. What greater monsters lie in wait in the deeper darkness ahead? For the first time, I question not just my chances of survival, but the very purpose of this journey. Is this a noble test of will, or is it just a slow, painful, and deeply lonely way to die? The mist offers no answers. The path winds upward to a chasm. Spanning the gap is an ancient bridge. In the center, a warrior waits. Twice the height of a man, clad in rusted iron, it holds a colossal great axe, a warden barring the way. The bridge is the only path forward. This is a duel I cannot avoid. I start my advance. 2 points of fiery red light ignite in its helm. It is a construct of hate bound to this post. It has one purpose: to kill. I have one purpose: to survive. I draw my sword. The dance is about to begin. The warden attacks with a deceptively fast overhead chop. I dodge, feeling the wind of the axe. This is not a fight I can win by trading blows, but by not getting hit. The axe embeds in stone. I thrust at a gap in its armor. My sword bites, inflicting a minor wound. The warden roars, swinging its axe. I leap back. The duel becomes a deadly rhythm. I am too nimble to be caught, too weak to do significant harm. I must be patient, looking for an opening, using every inch of space. The chasm is always there. It is a battle of attrition. But time is not on my side. But then I see it, a deep gouge in the warden's breastplate. A desperate target, but the only one I have. My strategy shifts. I must focus on that one weakness. To strike, I must get closer than ever before. I take a breath, pushing the fear down. I must be faster, braver, and more precise than ever. The warden roars and begins another assault. The warden is now slightly off balance. This is the moment. I surge forward. I am chest to chest with the giant. I put every bit of desperation into one final thrust, aiming for the old battle scar. The tip of my sword finds purchase in the weakened steel. It punches through. My blade sinks deep into the warden's chest. The great axe slips, clattering onto the bridge. The fight is over. The warden staggers backward, then topples over the side into the abyss. I am left alone on the bridge, my sword trembling. I look down at my sword. The force of punching through the warden's armor has fractured my only weapon. This victory feels hollow. I look across the chasm to the path that continues on the other side. What lies beyond this bridge in the deeper heart of Nightreign? My will did not break. My spirit did not falter. I'm scarred and broken, but I'm still here. I continue my journey across the bridge. The path leads to an old guard post. A dead fire pit sits in the center. It's a place of safety with a clear view. I can rest and tend to my wounds. My body is at its limit. I unwrap my bandages. The wounds look angry. I clean the injuries as best I can and rebind them. My mind replays the battle. My enemies will only grow stronger. I must be smarter and more ruthless. Exhaustion settles over me. I need to heal. I will take a brief rest to reclaim strength. As my eyes close, darkness rushes in. The rest is brief, a stolen moment in the unrelenting dark. I wake with a start, my hand gripping the fractured sword, my heart pounding from a dream I cannot recall. Only the feeling of it remains, a cold dread that clings to me like the fen's mist. The pain from my wounds has settled into a deep, persistent throb, a constant companion to my thoughts. Each breath is a reminder of the warden's claw mark across my ribs. Every time I flex my hand, the gash on my forearm pulls tight. These are not just injuries, they are becoming part of me, a physical map of my trespass through this forsaken land. They are the price of my vow, paid in flesh and blood. My body is a testament to the journey's brutality. Old scars from a life before this are now joined by new, angrier marks. My skin, my only armor, is failing. It tears and breaks, a poor defense against the horrors I face. I trace the jagged line on my arm, the flesh around it swollen and hot to the touch. The filth of the swamp has seeped into the wound, and I can feel a fever beginning to kindle in my veins. It is a subtle warmth at first, a deceptive heat that promises a deeper, more dangerous chill to come. My strength is not returning as it should. The brief rest has only served to highlight the depth of my exhaustion. This physical decay is mirrored by a fraying of the spirit. The unwavering resolve I carried into Nightreign feels less certain now, more fragile. The victory against the warden was a triumph, but it cost me dearly, leaving my body and my only weapon damaged. I am walking a path of diminishing returns. Each battle I survive leaves me weaker for the next. The loneliness of this place is a heavy cloak, and the silence is filled with the whispers of my own growing doubt. How long can I continue this? How long until a mistake is not just a new scar, but the final one? The questions circle in my mind like vultures. I force myself to my feet, my body protesting with every movement. The path forward waits, a dark moor promising more pain and more hardship. The initial fire of my purpose, the defiant pride of my vow, has been tempered into something colder, more brittle. It is no longer a roaring flame, but a stubborn ember that I must shield against the howling winds of despair. To continue now is not an act of arrogance or strength, but one of pure, obstinate refusal to surrender. I am wounded, I am feverish, and I am deeply, profoundly tired, but I am not yet broken. And so I step out of the shelter and back into the gloom. The land beyond the bridge is different. The oppressive closeness gives way to a petrified forest. The trees are colossal. Ancient things turn to black stone, their twisted branches clawing at the sky. No leaf grows here, no bird sings. The only sound is the crunch of my boots on the brittle, stony ground. The silence is absolute, a crushing weight. In this dead, silent world, the solitude becomes a palpable entity, a hungry shadow that walks at my side. Here, in this desolate emptiness, my thoughts are my only company, and they are not kind. The isolation strips away everything but the present moment, and the present is bleak. The lack of human contact is a slow poison, leaching the warmth from my soul. The fever from my wounds grows worse. The wind whispers my name, a sibilant, mocking sound. Is it the fever, or is it the land itself? The curse of Nightreign seeping into my mind. I'm losing my grip, the line between reality and hallucination becoming dangerously thin. My greatest enemy now is not a monster of flesh and claw, but the decay of my own mind. I lean against one of the stone trunks, my breath coming in ragged pants. The solitude is a physical hunger. I long for another voice, even an enemy's roar, to break this maddening quiet. Only the cold, indifferent stone and the whispers of my own fracturing sanity. Nightreign does not just kill the body with its monsters, it starves the soul in its desolate wastes. As I push deeper, a strange, soft, warm flicker of golden light appears. The source is a single small flower growing from a crack in the ground, its petals glowing. It's the only living thing I've seen, a tiny spark of life in a realm of absolute death. I kneel before it in its silent, glowing existence. It's honestly the most powerful thing I've ever seen. It's a flicker of hope, small and fragile as the flower itself. The flower is a promise that even in a place like Nightreign, not everything is cursed, not everything is dead. And if this one small, fragile thing can survive here, then perhaps so can I. I leave the petrified forest and descend into a valley of ash, a city frozen in its final tragic moment. Statues of people, not heroes, but ordinary souls, stand everywhere, their last emotions etched in stone: terror, love, resignation. Walking among them, I feel the weight of their silent stories, a grief so deep it nearly drowns me. I pause before a boy's outstretched hand, his fear mirroring my own despair. I touch the cold stone, a silent promise to remember. My survival must mean more than escape. It must honor those lost here. I walk on, carrying their memory with every step. Leaving the city of ash is like waking from a nightmare. On a windswept ridge, I see the distant black spire, my destination, the heart of the curse. My body is broken, my spirit frayed, but clarity settles in. This journey is no longer for glory, but for the promise I made to the lost and to myself. I accept pain and fear, but I will not turn back. I promise the false dawn. I will walk, I will fight, I will face the darkness as I am. With resolve renewed, I descend the ridge toward the spire. The final trial awaits. The last stretch is agony, but the spire draws me on, a needle of obsidian rising from poisoned earth. At its base, a single dark opening beckons. I am a ruin, but my vow remains unbroken. I look back at the hell I've crossed, then forward into the abyss. There's no turning back. I grip my fractured sword and step into the darkness. The silence inside swallows me whole. Inside there is no monster, only a pool of liquid night and a voice of ancient sorrow. It shows me the kingdom's fall, the endless grief at the heart of the curse. The true battle is not of steel, but of spirit to endure, not to conquer. The darkness tempts me to surrender, to become another silent statue. But I remember my vow, to face the darkness and not be consumed. I stand unbroken, honoring the pain without letting it claim me. This is my final victory, to endure. I offer no defiance, no speech, just stubborn endurance. I accept the sorrow, but do not yield. My strength is the refusal to be extinguished. The darkness recedes. I turn away, unchanged but unbroken. The curse remains, but I have survived the abyss. My journey is not about saving the world, but about refusing to let it break me. Scarred and battered, I step into the uncertain light, unforged and still myself.